O great Jehovah God, honor and praise belong to you. Father, we seek to abide in your will. Help us to focus on those things that please you. Teach us, O God, to recognize when your divine timing launches us into new beginnings so we can order our steps according to your will. Amen. Today's devotion is New Beginning for the Time. Our verse of meditation is Esther 2, verse 17. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than to any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than that of any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Florence Nightingale is known as the Lady with the Lamp, the Crimean Angel, and of course the pioneer of modern nursing. While working in a Middlesex hospital, there was a cholera outbreak, and according to the History.com website, she made it her mission to improve hygiene practices, and this significantly lowered the death rate at the hospital. Then the Crimean War broke out in 1853, and by 1854 there was a crisis in caring for the wounded English soldiers. The Secretary of War, Sidney Herbert, asked Florence to assemble a team of nurses to go to Crimea, and in a few days, Florence Nightingale and a corps of 34 nurses were in Crimea. She found soldiers dying from infectious diseases more than the injuries they sustained in the war, and she set out to implement her sanitary practices. Florence and her nurses cleaned the hospital, established a clean kitchen, a laundry, a classroom, and even a library for her patients. From here, she compiled an 830-page report based on her observation. The work, entitled Notes on Matters Affecting the Health, Efficiency, and Hospital Administration of the British Army, sparked a total restructuring of the War Office's administrative department, including the establishment of a Royal Commission for the Health of the Army in 1857. Florence, however, contracted the Crimean fever and became bedridden at 38 years old. But this did not deter her. Her legacy includes in nursing school, introducing statistics in healthcare, spearheading a sanitation project in India, a country she had never visited, and a book entitled Notes on Hospitals, which focused on how to properly run civilian hospitals. Florence Nightingale is cemented in history because she recognized that God led her into her new beginning just for the time at hand. Esther was a young Jewish girl who was living in Susa, a place her family got to because of severe hardship. The Israelites were carried into exile by King Nebuchadnezzar during the time of Jehoiakim, the king of Judah. She was an orphan, living with her uncle Mordecai. She did not know it, but God was about to move the pieces of events into place to preserve the very existence of her nation. She was a young, beautiful woman when the silly King Xerxes banished his wife Vashti for refusing to parade as an object at one of his drunken parties. He was advised to send out royal order to bring young women into his harem, from which he would select one. Esther became a part of King Xerxes' harem of concubines. There she was to be groomed for a year with the others and then taken to the king so he could choose the one he wanted. This must have been distressing to the young woman and her uncle, also partly because she had to conceal who she was. Esther 2 verse 10 reads, Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. Every day Mordecai walked back and forth near the courtyard just to find out how his niece was doing. Esther had favor with God, and this allowed her to win the favor of Xerxes. Fast forward to Queen Esther in the palace when an edict went out to destroy the Jews in Susa and throughout the land. Mordecai sent her a terse message after she told him that she could not go into the king. The message underlined that her position was divine timing. It reads, "Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." She now understood that her new beginning was God's timing. So Queen Esther called for a 3-day fasting and prayer. 3 days, no food, no drink, no entertainment, just sitting in the presence of God and listening for divine instructions. Fasting and praying breaks down barriers and gives us boldness. So Esther said, "After this, I will go to the king, even though it's against the law. And if I perish, I perish." She was no longer focusing on her own security and comfort. No doubt, she was being warned by all the servants, don't do it, because they remembered what happened with Vashti. Xerxes does not like it when his wife goes against the rule, they must have told her. But Esther knew that divine timing gave her her new beginning. The favor of Xerxes was due to the favor of God over her life. She had to act. Her new beginning was just for this moment, and she had to seize it. Missing our moments is tragic. We can be framed into some amazing moments, but if we do not recognize that all we have and all we have become is due to God's power in our lives, then we will not accept His bidding to be His hands and feet. Florence Nightingale could not have imagined that her work would be so critical to saving lives then and even now. But she seized the moment. Esther, a Jewish exile turned queen of Persia, was there to stand in the gap for the entire Jewish nation. She understood that her coming to the throne was just for this moment. It is such a joy when purpose meets passion. When we can look back at where God has brought us from and where He has led us and know that this is a reason for all my blessings. I encourage us to pray. Ask the Lord of harvest to lead us into the field that is waiting for us. Pray to be able to sense the time and be willing to act. The psalmist David says in Psalm 90 verse 17, "And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. Yes, the work of our hands let Him establish." And we say, Amen and amen.